The meta always likes to innovate, always likes to be thinking one step ahead, and what is going to be the playstyle that works best for them? Well, now it's time to see how these two teams match up. Make some noise for our top 8 here at the Lille Regional Championships. Magmar and Excadrill versus Hisuian Samurott and Dragonite.
There is that Samurott. I think this is going to be such a key piece for Eduardo here in this entire matchup. Water is going to be good into, obviously, Excadrill. The Tyranitar, it's got a high critical hit ratio to maybe break through some of the bulk ups. And obviously Magmar there, very much weak to it at this point as in time too. I'd be curious as to what the speed interactions are between the Dragonite and the Samurott here. I mean, this Dragonite does have Scale Shot, which could boost its speed a little bit higher. It might need at least 2, though, to be able to outspeed this Excadrill once Sand goes up. But if it can get to that point, that could be quite useful to be able to get around that Focus Sash and KO it with a Stomping Tantrum at this point as well. So I like this lead from Eduardo generally. Nothing's being threatened with a KO at the moment, but they've just got to watch out for that Magmar. Blame with that Follow Me.
Yeah, Follow Me. Magmar has the spotlight shining right down on it. That's going to enable Excadrill to have the room to go for a Swords Dance here. We've had Quiver Dance earlier on stream. We've had Swords Dance from a King Gambit, but the first time we've seen one coming out from an Excadrill, and indeed the first Excadrill we've seen on stream. Now Scale Shot connecting into the Magmar, just a way to chip and keep chipping away at this bulky Pokemon. But as a result, the Dragonite is going to have its defense lowered, but its speed boosted.
And there is that speed boost, which will allow it probably to outspeed the Excadrill in the following turn. But there's the Aqua Cracker straight away into that Magmar. It's completely down here, so it's now or never for this Excadrill with its boosted up with that Sword Stance.
Yeah, Nils hoping that those blades can stay just as sharp as they were before. Excadrill is the Pokemon that Nils is leaning into heavily right now, as now Nils has to decide what to bring in from the back. Is it going to be that Tyranitar, which is not only going to boost the speed of the Excadrill, but threaten super effective Rock-type damage into the Dragonite? Of course, the Hisuian Samurott, in turn, is threatening super effective damage right into the Tyranitar. So all sorts of decisions at play right now.
And interestingly, we get a little peek into Eduardo's 4 that he's actually brought to this team, and there is no, weather changer like the Ninetales that he's brought either. So that Sand is here to stay. Not that Nils knows it, though, at this point in time anyway. But at least with the Excadrill's natural speed, we saw it outsped the Dragonite anyway, so it's going to be able to get some sort of attack off in this turn. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe an Iron Head into the Dragonite. That multi-scale will make it take it very nicely, but you need to chip it away at some point, or you might want to wait for the Sand to do that instead and target into the very safe Assault Vest Samurott that can't actually protect.
Yeah, really good call there, David. This Dragonite would have its multi-scale broken by the Sand that Tyranitar has been setting up from it. Tyranitar itself is going to take a little float in its hot air balloon here. It will be taking chip damage from the Sand now. It's terrestrialized away from its rock typing. Excadrill just want to keep those boosts safe. Scale Shot going into the Tyranitar, but the Tyranitar nimbly dodges it with those balloons, making it float above the ground. Rock Slide now, super effective, even though that Dragonite had multi-scale intact. Huge damage there connecting down super effectively.
Yeah, without the multi-scale, we can see that Dragonite would have just absolutely dropped. And Eduardo made a brilliant play here, targeting away from the Excadrill completely, but unfortunately, the missing on that Scale Shot, that would have done so much damage to that Tyranitar. Maybe even with 5 hits, I would be willing to say that Tyranitar might have gone down this turn. But instead, Rock Slide comes out doing a lot of damage and putting anything in range of this +2 attack Excadrill. Looking really, really strong right now. You can just kind of KO the Samurott quite convincingly. Dragonite may go next then, but then at least you've got the Dragonite to take down after that.
Yeah, well, Sucker Punch going to be really good damage, but here comes the Iron Head, easily enough to take care of Eduardo's Dragonite here. Hope Len Jewel is watching, enjoying this Sand matchup right now on the stream. Low kick, super effective into this part Dark-type Hisuian Samurott, going to be enough to secure the knockout here. So all of a sudden, with a critical hit as well, unconfirmed as to whether that mattered or not, but all of a sudden, Nils Dunlop 3 Pokemon to Eduardo's 2.
There it is. T-Tot Excadrill is back, everybody, and look how oppressive that was. To be fair, Hisuian Samurott is pretty cool, Eduardo, so kudos to you for having that, honestly. But yeah, when you're starting to deal with these dicey moves, like with that Scale Shot and the Rock Slides and things, you don't know what's going to happen going into it, because suddenly something can miss and a matchup can just flip onto its head.
Yeah, it certainly could. And speaking of flipping onto its head, Iron Head is threatening huge damage coming out from Nils' side of the field. Magmar, though, and Golden Go are going to be resisting that, taking it far, far better than the Dragonite was on the previous turn, thanks to their typing chance here. Follow Me is very much online for Eduardo's Magmar right now, so it can keep the Golden Go safe. Maybe the Golden Go could go for one of its nasty plots, having that light bulb moment to boost up itself. But of course, we have this unrevealed Pokemon for Nils in the back, and that could be what decides how this game goes. Eduardo down, but certainly not out.
Yeah, 100% not out. Like, Earthquake, it's looking very safe right now, as you could see. Yeah, it looks like Eduardo maybe wasn't considering that move this time. +2 into both targets. That's an absolute one hit KO? 2-1?
Yeah, a double one-hit KO. Old 1, 2, 3, 4. Get your abacuses out, trainers. Having said that Eduardo was down but not out, now he is out. That game 1 is going in favor of Nils overwhelmingly there. Now, we cannot understate, really, how important that miss was from the scale shot onto the Tyranitar, because it was Tyranitar that was able to break the multi-scale, was able to deal so much damage onto Eduardo's side of the field, and of course, being a Terra flying type as well, Nils feeling all the safer to go for that Earthquake there, whereas had it been a Pokemon in the back that maybe wasn't able to protect, you got to be more careful about clicking that button. But with the Magmar and Golden Go in the back for Eduardo, that's really not what you wanted in the face of this Excadrill, so Eduardo has to consider that carefully in this next game.
Yeah, he really does, and honestly, what sort of Pokemon that you want to bring as well? Like, Eduardo brought a lot of Pokemon that were all just naturally slower than Excadrill anyway, generally. So, like, it's not like Ninetales being brought here would make much difference to the speed interactions, but what it could make a difference to is if Eduardo wanted to bring his Sneasler, which has a Focus Sash, which at the moment, a Sand would just chip that away and get it over with.
Yeah.
If you could bring that Sneasler into this matchup a little bit more safely, and with a Ninetales kind of protecting it from having its Sash chipped, then you could probably use that to great effect. You've got close combat into Excadrill and the Tyranitar for massive damage. And yeah, obviously if things get dicey and they tear away from that weakness, suddenly you've got Diaclaw that hits really hard as well. And could you just get the status that you might win you the game, for instance? So I feel like we probably need to see a switch up from Eduardo, potentially, just for that.
Yeah, for sure. And if you look at Eduardo's team, there are 3 rock-weak Pokemon on there with Dragonite, Magmar, and the Alola Ninetales. Now, Terastallization is going to be able to get around that for just one of those Pokemon in this game. But for Eduardo right now, they have to win this next game in order to progress further at the Lille Regional Championships.
You could also just kind of go for the same sort of tactic as before and just be confident that Scale Shot is going to hit next time. Assuming that you get the KO on the Tyranitar, then suddenly things look a little bit different. It's not threatening low kick into the Hisuian Samurott going into the following turn. Either way, I think the Hisuian Samurott is going to be really good in this matchup because, yeah, that Sucker Punch we saw did a lot of damage, and it's just a 2-hit KO onto that Excadrill, whether the sand is up or not. So I think I really like that option here, or maybe we could see something that just helps set up that Golden Go a little bit more as well. Either way, all the offense is on Nils' side, and Eduardo needs to respond somehow.
Well, let's find out how Eduardo is going to answer that. Let's get into this game. Everything on the line for Eduardo right now as Sneasler and Tyranitar hit the field opposite Magmar and Dragonite for Eduardo. And the Sneasler for Nils carrying that White Herb rather than the Focus Sash, so it doesn't matter so much if it does take that chip damage from the Sandstorm.
Now, this Sneasler also has coaching, like a lot of Sneaslers generally do. Eduardo's does as well. So this could be a tactic to kind of just boost up this Tyranitar constantly to be able to get to the point where the Dragonite on Eduardo's end with that Stomping Tantrum isn't going to be doing very much at all. Plus, Nils always has the threat of just going for that Terra Flying and making it do nothing anyway. So it's in a decent position, but obviously I'm wrong. Nils goes to the Indeedee.
Yeah, Indeedee is going to join the field. Indeedee male, we have previously seen far more Indeedee female, but in Regulation Set H, the more offensive Pokemon of Indeedee male can pay dividends. Meanwhile, also time to Terastallize, and it's going to be this Magmar going for its Terra Ghost here, keeping it immune from a fake out that Nils' own Sneasler could be dishing out here. Nice to have that bait of the Tyranitar coming out from Nils. Let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, I quite like this here. Yes, very nice. Oh, no, there's the fake out into the multi-scale Dragonite. So that was a good fake out target. But the Will-O-Wisp, great cover from Nils to just kind of scout out what Eduardo's going to do at this point. And he's caught the terror that Eduardo has kind of committed to now. So that's kind of not useful entirely in this exact scenario here. It could obviously take Sneaser's hits a little bit better going into the following turns. But at the moment, it's definitely used up, and that Nils can use that to his advantage as he still has his terror preserved.
Now, the moveset on this Indeedee, Expanding Force, Terra Blast, Trick, and Protect, even though it's carrying the Choice Scarf, because of course then you can trick away your Choice Scarf and then be able to go for that Protect and switch up the moves you go for. So the Choice Scarf, if you trick that onto one of Eduardo's Pokemon, they're going to be locked into whichever move they choose first, but The payoff is they will be acting super speedily, but maybe you just go for a big expanding force now. You've got Psychic Terrain on the field. Eduardo has no Rillaboom to speak of, no way to change the terrain, but it's going to be time for a responding Terror coming out from Nils into this Indeedee, into the Psychic, just to boost up the damage. David, we are turning up the heat right now.
Yeah, we definitely are, and we could maybe see it. Like, it's probably the expanding force, honestly. Terra Blasters get around wide guard probably here, so Magmar's going on the protect, doesn't want to go down straight away here, but yeah, with the multi-scale chipped here, I think this expanding force is going to do a heap ton of damage. Let's see.
Sizable indeed coming out from this Indeedee. It's Mind's Eye on its head activated. How is this Dragonite going to take it? Oh, it's going to hang on with 3 HP. Diaclaw, though, enough to follow up into Eduardo's Dragonite here. I wonder how well Eduardo knows his Terra Psychic Terrain Indeedee male calcs.
Well, probably better than us, honestly, Charlie.
Sure.
But, like, that was a decisively good turn from Nils there. And a shame for Eduardo there. I think maybe Eduardo is expecting Nils to do the double up into the Magmar, which is a little bit safer, where the Dragonite is either probably protecting or there's a follow me. But yeah, unfortunately, does not get that quite right there, where a Magmar could have follow me away that last Diaclaw to be able to get that Dragonite to do some sort of like attack, maybe a scale shot into that in Sneasler, and even get a KO at that point too.
Yeah, exactly. The Indeedee now in such a good position. It's fantastic to be able to see a terrestrialized Indeedee male in top 8 of our Lille Regional Championships, just going to show that there is still so much experimentation to be done in Regulation Set H here. Eduardo down 1 Pokemon. It's now the Golden Go out on the field here. You know the Tyranitar's lurking in the back. You know that the terrestrialization cannot be spent on any other Pokemon because Indeedee has gone for it. So threatened by the Dark-type moves coming out from the Tyranitar, but then again, the Golden Go threatening Steel-type super effective onto the Tyranitar in the back here. It's going to be time for Sneasler to go to the back, though, instead for Nils. And joining the fray, it will be that Tyranitar, the oh-so-sociable, wanting to be the life and soul of the party, rejoining everything going on the field.
Okay, so here is size spam for you in the Lille Regional Championships. Magmar taking a huge big ton of damage there as Golden Go takes it. Oh! There's the Make It Rain, though, immediately spotting no setup at all. Didi goes down, and Tyranitar, despite being that super effective, takes that really well, Charlie.
Yeah, it's holding the Assault Vest, which is going to be bolstering the special defense of that Pokemon at the cost of only being able to run attacking moves. Heat Wave is going to connect onto this Tyranitar. Is it going to get the burn? No, it's not. Magmar able to take a little bit of chip damage here from the Sandstorm right now. Golden Go and Tyranitar immune to that thanks to being Steel and Rock types, respectively. Now it's time for Excadrill to come out.
Yeah, so the sand is still up here. Eduardo hasn't revealed his 4th Pokemon yet, so from Nils' perspective, it could still be that Ninetales, and therefore may have a chance to outspeed it, but Magmars aren't usually trained to be pretty speedy, so chances are this Excadrill is probably the fastest thing on the field right now. But the Terra has already been spent on the Indeedee, so you can't go for the Terra flying on the Tyranitar, and the only ground move Excadrill has access to is that Earthquake. So unless you want to KO your own Tyranitar, you might need to switch out into something that could take this Earthquake if you want to commit that here, which you most likely probably do, because Magmar, it will probably go down, and Golden Go will also go down. So, and we had a sneak peek as to what Eduardo has in the back there, being that Samurott. But do you want to switch it in here, where it takes so much damage, and then you only have 1 opportunity to attack? I feel like you need to try and get it in safely.
Yeah, and as a reminder, Sneasler on Nils' side isn't carrying the Focus Sash. It wouldn't be able to hang on, most likely, through one of those Earthquakes here. Samurott is going to be joining the field. Will it have been the right call? Ironhead, now neutral damage into the Magmar. No more follow-me's can come out from that Pokemon. Going to be the Asuin Samurott, going to be the Golden Go, having to join the field for Eduardo. Nils has the luxury of an unrevealed Pokemon in the back, and even to be able to switch out this Tyranitar to reset the sand if they want to, giving that speed boost to the Excadrill. Knockoff, really nice now into the Asuin Samurott, because even though it's not very effective, you get rid of that Assault. They're softening it up nicely for a Pokemon that's lurking in the back right now. Although that Sneasler is going to be the Excadrill that's already on the field, unrevealed as of yet on the Pokeball over on Nils' side. So the Assault Vest, still, no special attackers right now remaining for Nils, but at least you've got a bit of chip damage.
Yes, you got an interesting turn here, actually, where Nils could obviously just click Earthquake and deal with your Golden Go entirely, but maybe not KO the Samurott just yet, given its kind of fairly decent bulk it seems to have as well. But then, do you protect Golden Go, allow Samurott to survive, and then get the attack off on the Excadrill? And then, because if Excadrill is then earthquaking, Tyranitar's either going down or switching out. So there's a bit of a protect call here as to whether Excadrill protects, expecting the Golden Go to protect, or you just go in all on the attack. But if Nils has Corviknight in the back, for instance, it could be just a really safe kind of earthquake plus switch to Corviknight at this point, because it's looking like a really good Pokemon to bring in right now.
Well, no, we know that it's the Excadrill on Nils' side of the field as the fourth Pokemon. Oh. It's going to be the Sneasler there
right,
as
Charlie.
well.
Good spot.
No, absolutely. Going to be the Make It Rain, though, super effective into this Tyranitar. Saw it take it relatively well before. It's going to be the Tyranitar hanging on just on a sliver of HP right now. And so the health bars are whittling away. Africata easily enough now to take care of Nils' Tyranitar. We know it's going to be the Sneasler coming out here. That's going to be the final Pokemon for Nils. Doesn't have the Focus Sash. It's just going to be the White Herb. And the Sandstorm subsides here. So Excadrill no longer as speedy as it once was as it attempts to burrow through this Masters top 8.
Sneasler's coming in undoubtedly the fastest on the field, and Excadrill's still probably most likely the fastest thing on the field as well. Samurott, having had that Assault Vest before means that it still can't protect, so it's a safe target for anything at this point, like that close combat from this Sneasler, and then Excadrill can kind of follow up with some other attack. But you can't Earthquake at the same time Sneasler attacks unless you want to, again, get rid of your own Sneasler at this point. And it looks like Nils didn't get the turn quite right last time, protecting, trying to scout out for a protect from Golden Go, but Eduardo calls it and just goes for that attack anyway. So the question is, where is a Sucker Punch maybe targeting? It is into the Excadrill. Let's see if it pays off.
It's into the Excadrill. It takes it relatively well now. Close combat. Going to be super effective into the Samurott here. Just down to this Golden Go. The Excadrill has been weakened, even though it would be resisting a Make It Rain coming out from the Golden Go. Or is it going to be a Shadow Ball coming out instead? The Golden Go isn't really afraid of this Sneasler at all, though, given that it has fighting moves and poison moves. But the Earthquake going to be enough now. Even though your Sneasler goes down, the Golden Go does as well. We know who's proceeding to further in this competition. It's going to be Nils Dunlop.
Massively well played from Nils Dunlop.
Wow.
Like, what a showcase